whilst she's organizing that, I'm just going to ask you guys, we're going to center a bit, and I'm going to ask if you can take a moment, bring your right hand underneath your left armpit, and take your right hand over your right shoulder. And just close your eyes for a moment and take a nice deep breath in. Exhale. One more time, take another deep breath in, feel your chest expand. Exhaling, feel yourself deflate. Oh, thank you, you helped me as well. Bring your hands down. So I just want to say my story is not just one wound, it's many fractures, and it will take a lot more than 15 minutes to fit in. So what I am going to share is how those wounds have cracked me open. And quite literally, Rumi said, the cracks are where the light shines through. Now, here I'm going to be talking about what it truly means to be happy in our own skin. And I've always known that I was different from when I was a young girl, but I hated that. So I tried to mask and fit in and be like everyone else, because my life already started very different. And I'll give you some context soon. When I was here the last time at the She Talks, I was sitting at the back and I was doing that exercise that I gave you guys and moving back and forth in my chair and calming myself. And Trudy said, "You're all here for a reason." And I was like, and I was visualizing myself having a panic attack in the bathroom. But at the same time, I was so happy to be here. And the crazy thing is that that happens sometimes. Now, after the intermission came, I went out and I went to the bathroom. I didn't have a panic attack. I just took some deep breaths, and then I went outside and I found some familiar faces. And one of the girls, she was always different that I knew. And I admired that in her. I was like, wow, she really owns it. But I hid it. I tried to push it away. And the next day I was in the shower, and I like to call the shower the think tank. It's like all the revelations happen in there. Unless you're dancing to Havana classics and you like almost fall and you're like, calm down, calm down. And I was like, oh my God. She was the best reflection because she mirrored something to me that day. And you know when you have those aha moments when all the series of events that have happened before that just clicks? And I was like, shit, Trudy, you were right. And I was like, wow, the older, unintegrated, wounded version of me would have judged, felt threatened by her confidence. But the new version of me took it as an invitation. I was like, thank you. I needed that because I've been hiding for too long. And finally, I just want to go back that day when I was bumping into her and we were talking, I said something that I don't usually say. I said, I'm so sorry, I'm socially awkward, but my autism is coming out, I'm overwhelmed. And she was biting her falafel and she's like, babe, I'm on the spectrum too, I get it. And I'm like, okay. And this is something profound because, I feel that the internal dialogue, as Corinne was saying, is not always as we're meant to have that cheerleader. It's the inner critic. How many of you have the inner critic voice inside of yourselves that says, what's wrong with you? I had that voice, but I also have the voice that says, it's okay. You're okay. And we're saying that not just to this version of ourselves, but we're also saying it to this version of ourselves. And this version of Tara was invalidated, told to be quiet, don't move, don't speak, don't say that, say this, just be still. And of course, to an autistic child, at that time, we didn't know. It doesn't turn out very well. So what did I do? I suppressed, I shrunk. By the age of 12, I developed hypothyroidism and I was put on medication. And the interesting thing is that when we're shrinking and we're hiding ourselves, we're also internalizing so much shame. Shame of how we should or shouldn't be. And I tell my clients, should energy is shame energy. And shame energy is extremely dysregulating for our nervous system. And it's postural before it is a belief. So we retract, we shrink, exactly like mammals do when they are threatened. And eventually that suppression became even worse. Now, I was never modeled softness, kindness, love, self-worth. I grew up with a mother who was a heroin addict and an alcoholic. I was taken away from her at the age of 5 and had to leave 2 of my sisters behind. And on the other side of that was dysfunction, even though I'm very grateful to my caregivers at the time, but there was dysfunction. And yet again, I just learned to suppress. Eventually, by the age of 15, I had met my mom again, and we started building a connection. By 17, I was working, I had moved away from home, and I found my love for fitness. And it then became an obsession because I could control it. Every rep, every gram on the plate, every meal, every next workout. There was a predictability. I knew what was going to happen, and I knew the result. So I found safety in that. And anything outside of that threatened me. But so much so that at some point, I went into bikini fitness competing, and I lost family members during that time. I lost my grandmother and my aunt who raised me to cancer. And 2 weeks before my first bikini show, my mom choked at a restaurant and died. And I said, I have to finish what I started. But after that, I spiraled and I went into severe eating disorders, shut down, shame. I couldn't process the grief because nobody ever taught me how to hold my emotions. So I ate them, I isolated myself, and that inner critic got louder, the shoulds, right? Because that's the voice I heard all along. And eventually, I was diagnosed with multiple autoimmune diseases. I was diagnosed with C-PTSD, depression, anxiety, PCOS, many labels, trust me. But I was told to take the immunosuppressant drugs. I was on morphine, and I was just told I need to manage it for the rest of my life. And I was like, this cannot be my story. Like, that's a cosmic joke. So I was like, no. Now, in order for us to find our balance, sometimes we have to go to different extremes. We have to go to 2 opposing poles to know what the center pole is. Otherwise, there's no center point. And the interesting thing is that I studied functional medicine, Chinese medicine, and I began to slowly apply this to myself, but my body was still not happy. I was sick, I had acne, I was doing all the things right. So I was the practitioner, but I felt like my body was not cooperating at all. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? And I basically went through that time where I put so much pressure on myself. I was the A-type student, I spoke to all my peers, I did all the things, so why wasn't my body cooperating? But I was so shut down, I was running away from the things that were asking me for my attention. And it was to feel and to tune in. And it's only until I found the somatic trauma nervous system component that I truly started to heal. I went from being inflamed and slowly things started to calm down because our body is purging and trying to get things out when there's not enough space. So I started to make space. Now, just so you understand, and I'm sure you're aware, our beauty industry is a $6 billion industry that is constantly pulling our attention in different directions, giving us the should and shouldn'ts, dictating our why, right? I mean, how many of you guys see something, a new product, a new trend, and you want to try it, or even think about it? There's constant pull of attention. Now, let me give you an example. They did an experiment and they put grandfather clocks in a room with a pendulum, and they were all swinging in different directions. And when they were in the same room for a few hours, they actually started to synchronize in the same rhythm. How? This is because the one with the strongest pendulum, actually pulls all the others in the same rhythm. In quantum physics, we call it entanglement, and in neuroscience, we call it entrainment. And this is exactly what is working in our energetic fields, but what are we entraining to and entangling with? So when our energy field is scattered, we often lose our own internal compass. And our nervous system dictates every behavior we make, don't make, decision we take or don't take. It's the CEO of your life, and you're never invited to meetings, ever. And honestly, from a nervous system standpoint, you can start to change the way that you react or don't react to things. And eventually, you'll start to realize that the body has the answers. Now, I didn't love myself in every single moment. I didn't feel love in every single moment. But love isn't always a feeling. It's an act of choice. So in those head-in-the-hand moments, I like to call them, I picked myself up. I said, okay, let me take a shower. Let me write this. Let me do this task or not do this task, because that is also an act of self-love. But no one models that talk. And that's why I created the equation myself to always remember it, which is curiosity, acceptance, compassion. Be curious before you shut things down. Lean in instead of dismissing, and accept. Don't be so quick to change or to polish or to take the pill to numb the pain or cover something up because it's a message. And that's where the compassion comes in. Because if you're so quick to leave the table, how can compassion come and sit next to you? And how can you show that to others? Are you familiar with the Japanese art called kintsugi, where they use gold to bring those pieces, those fractures together, and that gold is compassion. And I learned with that, bit by bit, that with compassion, you can bring all of those fractured pieces together and love the fractured pieces in others. And I learned that nothing was separate. I could love my quirks, my sensitivities, and I realized my sensitivity was my superpower. And Trudy asked us to share a superpower that we didn't know we had, and I had it all along. And we all do. And I'm gonna leave you with another thing, because Trudy asked us to end with golden nuggets. And I believe that life is giving us golden nuggets all the time. It's through the signs and synchronicities. It's through the coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. For me, the dragon is very powerful. For those of you who know me, you know my association with the dragon. I believe the dragon is, in a video game, like those gold coins that you collect to advance to the next level. I feel like the golden nuggets in life are exactly those. And they're there for you to just grab a lesson before you go on to the next. And for me, I feel like my mom passed me down this dragon as a little message, because my mom used to chase the dragon. And that's the method that heroin addicts use when they can't pierce their veins with needles anymore. That's literally the term. But the dragon came to me in many different ways much later in life and in meditations, took me to Asia, too many things. I tattooed it on my hand though, and I have a different life choice to my mom, but same creature. And we're always being given these golden nuggets in every way, every sign, every symptom, every mark on our body, your patterns. So what I want to leave you with is, if you really want to understand what it means to feel truly happy in your own skin, it's not trading the currency of money. It's trading the currency of paying attention. Paying attention to those whispers, to your inner calling, when you peel off those layers and you silence the noise and you come back to your center. Because that's exactly how I ended up at the last She Talks through that synchronicity. It's how I ended up standing here today, and it's how each of you ended up in this seat too. So my sensitivity is my superpower. My autism is my superpower. And now I ask you, what's yours? Thank you.
Love it. Love it.